Football, a sport that transcends borders and cultures, is more than just a game. It's a passion, a religion. And each summer, the football world is gripped by a unique spectacle: the transfer window.
Chelsea have been back in talks about signing Victor Agreed a fee with Manchester.
Giorgi Mamardashvili to Liverpool. Gundogan to Manchester United. Ilkay Gundogan back to Manchester City. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Hannibal to Sevilla.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
This frenzied period, when clubs across the globe vie for the most talented players, is a testament to the sport's enduring allure. It's a time of anticipation, speculation, and occasionally, heartbreak. From blockbuster deals that shock the world to quiet acquisitions that prove to be game-changers, the transfer window is a microcosm of the drama, excitement, and unpredictability that football offers. Would you like to know the entire notion behind the transfer market around the football world? Stay tuned and do not forget to subscribe to Sports Hooked. Most transfer activity is conducted during the European summer transfer window that overlaps in between June 14th and August 31st this season, with slight variations of both the start date and end date for each respective domestic league. Prominent transfers also occur during the European winter transfer window between 1st and January 31st. Most notably, the transfer deadline dates of the transfer windows are solely reliant upon the country jurisdiction of the purchasing club in order to successfully perform the registration of newly transferred players. Transfers typically occur during specific periods known as transfer windows. Outside these windows, transfers are generally prohibited where FIFA sets international transfer windows to regulate the movement of players across borders. Many leagues have implemented financial fair play rules to prevent clubs from spending more than they earn, as this can limit the amount a club can spend on transfers. FIFA has also banned third-party ownership, where individuals or entities outside a club have ownership rights over a player. This has helped to curb excessive transfer fees. In leagues like the Premier League, non-European players often require work permits to play in the country. These permits are granted based on various criteria, including the player's international appearances and club performance. Each league has its own player registration rules. Players must be registered with their respective leagues before they can participate in matches. The early days of football transfers were marked by a much simpler system compared to today's complex market. In England, the concept of player transfers first emerged in the late 19th century when the Football Association introduced player registration. This system required players to register with a club each season, preventing them from playing for multiple teams without permission. Initially, there was no formal transfer market, and players often moved between clubs with little or no compensation. However, as football gained popularity and professionalism grew, the need for a more structured transfer system became apparent. The first recorded transfer fee was paid in 1893 when Willie Groves moved from West Bromwich Albion to Aston Villa for £100. While this amount seems insignificant by today's standards, it was a groundbreaking development at the time. As the popularity of football grew, so too did the transfer fees. By the early 20th century, fees had reached several £100s. The early days of football transfers saw relatively modest fees. However, as the sport grew in popularity and clubs became more competitive, transfer fees began to rise. Burnaby Ferreira's transfer from Tigre to River Plate in 1932 was the first to break the world record. The record continued to be broken intermittently throughout the 20th century, with players like Johnny Morris, Luis Suarez Miramontes, Pietro Anastasi, Johan Cruyff, and Giuseppe Savoldi setting new benchmarks. These transfers demonstrated the increasing value placed on top players and the growing financial power of football clubs. After Alf Common and David Jack, the third player to twice be transferred for world record fees is Diego Maradona. His transfers from Boca Juniors to Barcelona for £3 million and then to Napoli for £5 million both broke the record in 1982 and 1984 respectively. Then, in 1987, Dutch playmaker Ruud Gullit broke the transfer market that season with his move from PSV to AC Milan for a fee of €6 million. In the space of 61 days in 1992, 3 transfers broke the record, all by Italian clubs. Jean-Pierre Papin transferred from Marseille to AC Milan, becoming the first ever £10 million player. Almost immediately, rivals Juventus topped that with the signing of Gianluca Vialli for a fee of £12 million from Sampdoria. Milan then completed the signing of Gianluigi Lentini for a fee of £13 million, which stood as the record for 3 years. The Bosman ruling in 1995 was a landmark decision in football that fundamentally changed the transfer market. Before the ruling, players were often tied to their clubs for long periods, even after their contracts expired. This gave clubs significant leverage in negotiating transfer fees. Jean-Marc Bosman, a Belgian footballer, challenged the system when his club, RFC Liège, refused to let him move to Dunkirk without paying a substantial transfer fee. After a lengthy legal battle, Bosman won his case, and the European Court of Justice ruled that players should be free to move to another club when their contract expires. The Bosman ruling had a profound impact on the football transfer market. It gave players more power and allowed them to negotiate better terms with clubs. This led to a significant increase in the number of players who moved between clubs without paying a transfer fee. Some high-profile examples of Bosman transfers include Edgar Davids moving from Ajax to AC Milan in 1996, Luis Enrique moving from Real Madrid to Barcelona during the same season, Steve McManaman moving from Liverpool to Real Madrid in 1999, and Sol Campbell moving from Tottenham Hotspur to Arsenal in 2001, which were truly controversial moves. These transfers demonstrated the power that players now had in the transfer market and the ability to move freely between clubs. Also, the late 1990s saw a rapid escalation in transfer fees. Alan Shearer's move from Blackburn Rovers to Newcastle United in 1996 set a new record, which was quickly surpassed by Ronaldo's transfer to Inter Milan the following year. This trend continued with Denilson's move to Real Betis and subsequent record-breaking transfers by Christian Vieri and Hernan Crespo. These astronomical fees prompted widespread disbelief and questions about whether the football world had lost its sense of proportion, especially by media giants such as BBC. The early 21st century witnessed the controversial transfer of Luis Figo from Barcelona to rivals Real Madrid, even though he stated that he would stay at Barcelona few days prior making his move. A year later, Real increased the record again with a signing of Zinedine Zidane for £48 million in 2001. Then there was a resurgence in record-breaking transfer fees, largely driven by Real Madrid's Galacticos policy. The signing of Kaká from Milan in 2009 set a new world record at that time. However, this record was quickly eclipsed by the acquisition of Cristiano Ronaldo from Manchester United in the same transfer window. Real Madrid continued to dominate the transfer market, breaking the world record again with the signing of Gareth Bale from Tottenham Hotspur in 2013. However, Manchester United reclaimed the record in 2016 with the signing of Paul Pogba. A year later, Paris Saint-Germain made a seismic transfer by signing Neymar from Barcelona for a staggering €222 million. This unprecedented fee marked a significant increase in the transfer market and solidified Paris Saint-Germain's status as a major player in the global football landscape, despite lacking a Champions League trophy in their cabinet. Unlike players, football managers are typically not transferred between clubs. Instead, they are hired and fired based on their performance. When a manager's contract expires or their position becomes untenable due to poor results, the club may choose to terminate their employment. A new manager is then appointed to take over the team. This process is often influenced by factors such as the team's recent performance, the club's financial situation, and the manager's reputation and experience. For example, if a team is struggling to achieve desired results, the club might decide to replace the manager with someone who has a proven track record of success. Similarly, if a club is facing financial difficulties, they may opt for a manager with a reputation for being cost-effective. The most expensive managerial transfer was Julian Nagelsmann from RB Leipzig to Bayern Munich for €25 million in 2021, also making the youngest manager to make this significant transfer. The second youngest transfer to mark this similar milestone is Vincent Kompany from Burnley to Bayern Munich for €12 million this season, showing that the Bavarian Giants is more avid to hire brilliant young tacticians for the managerial role due to the main purpose of filling their enormous trophy cabinet. Before a transfer can be finalized, players typically undergo rigorous medical examinations to assess their physical fitness. These exams can include basic checks, such as touching toes to test knee stability, as well as more advanced procedures like MRI scans and ECGs. Medical examinations are crucial for identifying potential health issues that could jeopardize a transfer or affect the transfer fee. In some cases, players may fail medicals due to unfitness or underlying medical conditions. Despite these risks, clubs may still choose to sign players even if they fail medicals, as demonstrated by the case of Dominic Matteo. The importance of medical examinations in football transfers has increased over time as sports science has evolved. Clubs now have a better understanding of player health and are more likely to invest in thorough medical assessments to protect their investments. That's it, guys. If you liked the video, Do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel to have a glimpse of such chronicles.